Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Thursday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, downtown BR. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Jay Hill, how we doing?
Doing good, brother. How you doing?
We're doing good. Just trying to look through the trees, figure things out. Lots of moving parts today. I guess I'll just start the show before I intro kind of what we're going to get into today. You know, it's a Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp. That'll kick things off in the second hour. And obviously, right after we got off the air yesterday, everything kind of hit the fan. J-Boy shows going on the internet saying that Lincoln Riley has an offer in his hands. There's a huge report from Michigan State that Mel Tucker has a massive contract extension on his table. And we led the Tiger Zone with this last night. It's agenda season. It is time for people to get theirs. And if you're an agent, you need to make your client's employer know that they are wanted and that they need to do more to keep your client. If you're a media person, you need clicks and tweets and shares and relevancy. And so if you sit back here as an LSU fan, you're in a pretty vulnerable spot where your eyes are going everywhere and you're looking at cars moving 1,000 miles an hour and you don't know which one you're trying to chase, but man, are they moving fast. And here's my thoughts on it. One, I'm not personally, even though I'm incredibly vested into who LSU hires as their head coach, not going to really pay attention to anything until someone tells me that the contract's been signed. That's where I am on that. And two, I believe that the loudest noise may very well come from the place where LSU is significantly interested in its next coach. Because I think from this side, from the Baton Rouge side, there's just not a lot of cracks. That's my sense. And when you start to see a scenario where a coach or an agent has really engaged with Scott Woodward and says, yeah, I'm going to need my employer to match that, that's when things are going to start moving really fast at that school to try to keep their coach. That's my opinion. So, take the J-Boy show for what you want. Take Mel Tucker's contract extension, signed or unsigned, for what you want. I'm just going to kind of sit back and wait and watch. But I understand that people are refreshing Twitter 1,000 times a minute and on the message boards and going nuts, and everybody knows a guy and he knows something and they know something, and this guy told me this because he knows, and I get it. That's the season we're in, but I'm in wait and see mode. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. There's nothing you can do. Obviously, wondering all day, refreshing your feed. I mean, unless we hire a coach, it's not going to do much. So I think I trust what Scott's been doing so far. I think really any legitimate or any, I guess a candidate list that kind of got released the other day, like, I don't know how much value or how much truth is even to even those reports. So I think I'm going to wait this thing out. I think after the SEC championship, that's when I'll probably start putting my antennas up a little bit. But until then, I'm in cruise control, man, just enjoying all these reports and all these stories.
Obviously, Lincoln Riley was the big story from yesterday, and that's been, I would say, majority has been met with some positive reaction. Certainly had some people last night in the Tiger Zone who thought that was a terrible idea. And I laid these stats out on the Tiger Zone, and I'll lay them out again here. Since Lincoln Riley took over the Oklahoma offense in 2015, where he was named the offensive coordinator and then the head coach, Oklahoma ranks first in the nation in scoring, 44.5 a game, total offense, 546 yards a game. That is 42 more yards than anybody else in the country. Touchdowns, 493. Pass efficiency rating, yards per pass attempt. They're first in all those. Second in the nation in completion percentage. Third in the nation in passing offense. Ninth in the nation in rushing offense. That's kind of hard for me to sit here and ignore. It's not all the fact that they're playing Kansas and Kansas State and TCU and Baylor. Like, some of that does matter, yeah. But plenty of teams in college football play bad teams. Plenty of them.
Yeah.
And he's been consistent in putting out a very good product in Norman.
Yeah, that's what you want to look for. I think to me that was always high on my priority list. Sustain. What's your level when you can look out, project it out over some years, and we can really, judge it over, the full book. He's has consistent high success at the offensive side of the football. Obviously, a lot of people are going to point to his coordinators, point to that defense, but there's not much chinks in the armor that you can point to on those offenses, man. And he's rolling from quarterback to quarterback, hitting the transfer portal, just doing whatever you got to do to keep your program at an all-time high level. So I think when you go, across the country and kind of look elsewhere and look and see what else is out there, so how many resumes that stack up to Lincoln's, man. Obviously, the championship is what kind of bothers a lot of people here, but all those guys are chips, man. They're not going anywhere. So I don't know how you can please someone like that.
Let's talk a little bit about a couple different aspects of this. I'm asking you to guess. I'm not asking you to know anything. This is talk radio. We have opinions. We guess. Do you believe that Scott Woodward is going to hire one of the 7 guys that we've talked about for 3 weeks?
I think Jimbo's name would I think that gets Scott going a little bit. So would I be shocked if Jimbo, they did an all-time record-breaking deal and he came? Probably not.
You would not be shocked if they gave Jimbo Misher $12 million and he left Texas A&M to come to LSU. That would not shock you.
I mean, you set up the names on that list.
No, I'm saying, do you think we are going to hire one of them, or do you think there's a possibility or a strong possibility that he'll hire someone we haven't even talked about?
I think that's a good possibility that's the case. I think just with all the smoke fires and everything that's been going on, I think that's probably exactly what he's doing. It's just trying to get a deal done and knowing that you're not, the other school, you're going back and forth with them, kind of get the thing done and kind of make that announcement. So if that happened, I wouldn't be shocked either.
It's counterintuitive to think that we've been having all these discussions and we're way off, because we think that everybody's kind of on the same page and you've got this framework of candidates. And I think more often than not, when a coach is fired or let go and immediately somebody pops in, well, here are the 5 names to watch, you can miss the boat pretty good there. But I think as time goes on, and this is an abnormally long search because of how early Ed Ogeron was let go, you would think that we would have enough of a feeling as to who the pool of candidates are. It will fascinate me to no end if all of a sudden a name pops up early next week, prior to Thanksgiving, and some announcements made the Friday before Thanksgiving or the Monday after, that it's somebody that we have not even considered. That would be fascinating to me. And I think that it's something that Scott Woodward has the ability to do. Now, if that's a name that's way up, that's a really famous name, very notable name that we haven't talked about, or if it's just somebody that he's identified that interviews very well, that he's got a lot of good recommendations from, and that he feels like this is the guy, just no one's talking about him because they don't know, but I think I've cracked the code.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't have shocked me as much, because if you look at just his last 2 hires at this school, I think those are names that no one had any idea about. I think you're running by a lot of other names, especially with the baseball job, and you kind of see Jay kind of sneak in there in the back door, and the same with Coach Mulkey with the women's basketball team. So if he's cooking something up like that with the football team, I don't think it would shock me too much.
You think you're going to see that Mel Tucker signed that extension today?
No. I think he's going to hold off on that. But whoa, Nelly. I think he's going to wait till after the Big Ten implications and see how that thing plays out. Then I think he'll, kind of see which one, where he wants to lay.
And that tells you really everything you need to know, because if, when LSU comes to Ed Ogeron and gives him the paper, he signs it immediately. When Jimbo Fisher gets the opportunity to have the extension, he signs it immediately. That's a sign of a guy who's there and is going to make it work. When Mel Tucker gets $100 million dropped in his lap and basically says, well, let me find my pen. Just give me a second. That tells you everything you need to know. And Colin Cowherd came on and had this thing about how Michigan State's making the commitment they're going to be a top-tier program. They're going to throw money at it. Doesn't quite work like that, because you're still Michigan State. You're still very much second fiddle in your own state, and you're still not in a very fertile recruiting ground. Michigan's not atrocious, but it's not great. And you don't have that much to sell. You can tell the coach that he's worth a ton of money, but some school's just going to pay his buyout if he shows up and he wants to go somewhere else. Right now, he's got the leverage. And if Florida wants to come calling when they fire their coach, or if LSU wants to offer him that job, or who knows, what if Penn State loses James Franklin, he wants to go there? Like, I don't know what Mel Tucker wants to do, but I can tell you this, he's not 100% certain he's going to be at Michigan State for the next 5 years. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. I think because I heard those rumors probably a couple days ago, and I was like, I don't think he signed anything. And every day I keep checking and checking. No extension, nothing signed, sealed, and delivered. So, like you said, those agendas out there, people got to get those things rolling. They got to, get those reports out there for whatever side they're trying to help or whatever, client they possibly may have. You'll see these reports and you'll see all these stuff, kind of roll out there. But until I see him sign that extension, man, I probably know where his eyes are looking towards.
And there's a report today that comes out that says, Miami's job's not even open. Says Miami, who just switched ADs, if their job comes open, Lane Kiffin will go there, was what the report was. It's like, God, do these people just have no shame? I understand clicks win, and you got to get clicks, and you got to sell ads, and you got to make your money, and I get it. But I think just making stuff up, which I think significant amounts of people do, not everybody. There are people that are in this business that report and have sources and double-check those things and feel good about things and report them. Then there are people on the internet that just go. I've had a podcast for 5 minutes. I'll tell you, I got sources. They're telling me this. Really? You got sources because you can hit record on a computer? Yeah. I record Hoops with Hunt every Tuesday. I'm not saying anything on the air because I don't know anything. But it makes me laugh how media has changed. And there was a time where, you woke up and you read the newspaper and they had the scoop and they were the only ones trying. Now, everyone's a journalist. Everyone has a voice. Everyone. And, you just get on Twitter and it catches fire and goes viral, and all of a sudden everybody thinks one thing's is the way it is when it's just made up from somebody who wants to make a name for themselves. It's a dangerous, dangerous game.
Yeah. You got to be careful, man. You got to be very careful. You got, Jay Boy putting out the spicy stories. Like, how much truth do we know is there something like that? You can go on and on with all these stuff. You got Bruce out here giving out the tea. Like, it just goes on and on. I don't know. That's why I said I'll just wait. I'll wait till possibly after A&M game and after the SEC championship, and I think that's when you'll start cooking with a little more grease. So we'll wait till then.
Well, we're going to go up to Norman. Bob Prisbillo covers Oklahoma for Sooner Scoop. Been there for a very long time, and we'll see what the buzz is around Norman. As I said to start the segment, I kind of think if there is an offer made or overtures are significant, you'll start to see things ruffle somewhere else. Now, I'm well aware of how I led the segment off in saying that an agent can do that just to ruffle the feathers to get a few more extra bucks. It's the point. We don't know. The only person who knows is Scott Woodward. He knows. Everybody else heard something or is reacting to something. I can't play the game, but we'll see what Bob can do up in Norman. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
My car's running like a dream. Brakes are perfect. That's because last Wednesday, Brake Medics paid me a visit at my home. I was sitting at my kitchen table doing some prep for Tiger Zone. They knocked on the door. I walked out, handed them my keys. They parked right behind my car, jacked the car up with the jack that came out of the van, changed the brakes. Took about 50 minutes, right under an hour. Took it for a quick test drive. Told me, hey, don't drive it for about 35 minutes because those brakes are going to be hot. And they have been running ever since. That is the beauty and the convenience of Brake Medics at BrakeMedics.com. They will come to your house and service your brakes if you don't have time to go sit in a service shop and wait for them to handle your auto needs. Brake Medics will do it. They've got ASC certified techs. They are fully insured to service you at your home. Baker to Brewley, Prairieville to Denham Springs, everywhere in between, they will come to you. Go to BrakeMedics.com. That's BrakeMedics.com. Input your information. They'll spit out a quote, they'll set you up an appointment, and they'll come to your home to service your brakes. This is a new wave in auto service, and Brake Medics is here in Baton Rouge. Only been here for a few weeks, but they are ready to service you. Go to BrakeMedics.com. BrakeMedics.com. We make house calls.
We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has 0% for 60 months on new Ford F-150s. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. And now 0% for 60 months on Ford F-150s. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Join me, Jimmy Ott, for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're watching football at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, downtown, facing the brand new library. Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field on a Thursday, it's Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Let's go up to Norman, Oklahoma. Bob Prisbillo covers the Oklahoma Sooners for Sooner Scoop. We appreciate some time, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How's everything going?
It's a little hectic down here, to be quite honest, and I understand it's probably the same up there. I see the last podcast that you tweeted out on your feed said, enough with the LSU rumors. Let's actually talk about the football team. I think the talk about LSU's football team, specifically on Louisiana Monroe week, is about done, so we're trying to kind of shake every tree that we can. I guess I'll just kind of leave it open-ended. Obviously, with the J-Boy show kind of coming out yesterday and saying that the offer's in his hands, Bruce Feldman said that ain't going to happen. A lot of back and forth. What are y'all hearing up there?
A lot of back and forth, but we're not really hearing it from our side.
Yeah.
You know, that was one thing that's sort of been confusing about the last week. It felt like it was the perfect storm as OU went 9-0 going into a bye week, and then you learn Alex Grinch, defense coordinator, is interviewing for the Texas Tech head coaching job. And then a few days later, Lincoln Riley misses his regular scheduled Tuesday press conference, which he had never missed in the 5 years that he's been the head coach. And he says it's a personal matter, but obviously that's not enough. You know, that's going to lead to even more speculation as to what that even means. And, you know, so just it felt like a perfect storm of events where if you wanted to believe any sort of rumors, you had evidence to try to start connecting those dots. But from our side of things, in talking to a lot of trusted sources around Riley, around the administration, this was definitely more news to us as compared to, oh, it's a possibility. It's a likelihood of this going down. It still feels very far-fetched, and it might even surprise us more than when Bob Stoops initially stepped down and Lincoln took over.
Wow, that says a lot, because that kind of shocked me from way outside to hear that, because obviously it Stoops' his age. Before we get into hypotheticals, because that's obviously what we're working on here, let's talk about some actuals. How does the Oklahoma administration feel about Lincoln Riley? How does the fan base feel about Lincoln Riley to this point in his young head coaching career?
There's no doubt that athletic director Joe Castiglione, President Joe Harris, and Lincoln Riley have developed a very strong relationship in such a short period of time. Obviously, Joe C's been there for years and years, and you can hear, the amount of respect, admiration, appreciation of what Riley has been able to do in nearly his 5 years as head coach of the Sooners. And I know Lincoln, you can tell he loves living in Norman. He's loving raising his 2 girls in the state. He's actually building a new house right now. So a lot of it just kind of came not blindsided. It's just like these dots don't feel like they're connecting the way that some others think they should. When you look at the fan base, I think this might be the first season where there's a little disappointment. Because you remember how OU ended the 2020 season? They were 1-2, and then they ran the table, winning another Big 12 title, beating Florida in the Cotton Bowl. And I know there were a lot of Gators out, but for OU to win a bowl game, it felt like it'd been a while since that had happened. And then you had Spencer Rattler coming back. You felt like you had one of the 2-3 best teams in the entire country, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't connected. Even in the 9-0 start, they were ranked number 8 by College Football Playoff Committee back-to-back weeks, and you felt like if that didn't fire them up, if that wasn't the wake-up call that team needed, what the heck would be? And then we saw the performance that they had in Waco, and it's just a harsh reality set in for a lot of fans that as much as they thought there'd be a light bulb moment, just comes on, they start playing at an elite level, it just isn't going to happen in 2021.
Bob Prisbillo covers Oklahoma for Sooner Scoop, chatting about Lincoln Riley and all that's going on up there. You hear when the name comes up, everybody in Tiger Town here's kind of looking at, well, here's the positive, here's the negative, and you hear the positive guys say, look at these offensive statistics, look at the consistency of getting into the playoff almost every year, and then you hear the other side go, yeah, but they get beat every time they show up. And kind of what's the thought up there in Norman about that?
Yeah, it's a real sense of frustration, definitely among the fan base. I'm not sure if we've reached that level with the administration yet, because I think a lot of it was, okay, you're playing with the hand that was dealt with you. You had the players that you inherited from Bob Stoops, and you had the defensive turnover after what happened with Mike Stoops, and you had to get your own guys in. And I think that's why everyone pointed toward 2021 is the season where OU breaks through. The third year with Alex Grinch, it's his guys. For the most part, it's all his guys that he recruited that are now playing on defense. So the fact that they took a step backwards this year is very confusing. It's very frustrating for a lot of the fans to accept, because they were all in. It's like this was going to be Lincoln Riley's team. Not inheriting Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray and trying to make them better, but taking the people that he recruited from high school and molding them together into a championship group. And it didn't happen, but you're so excited, at least around here, about Caleb Williams and what he brings to the table, that I think as much as people are disappointed about how the first 2 months of this season have gone, they are anxiously looking ahead to 2022 and wondering how good, how great can Caleb be in a full season.
With OU coming to the SEC in a few years, there's a lot of people saying that there's no way Lincoln Riley would go to another SEC school. If he did leave, it'd have to be to an NFL team. Would you agree with that consensus?
Not necessarily. I think the one thing that's been tough to really figure out about Riley is what is his long-term goal. He doesn't really talk about the NFL with this glimmer in his eye or something like that's something that he's always aspired to. And so it's like, what at this point matters the most in his life. And when you talk to him and you hear him talk about his wife and kids, you get a feeling that family atmosphere, that family life is something that means a lot, because any school, any NFL organization can pay him the millions of dollars he's already making in Norman. So it goes more to like quality of life. And I don't think, here's the thing with Lincoln. He still loves recruiting. The day that he doesn't, the day he hates the FaceTiming, the Zoom calls, the meeting with recruits on official visits, the day that gets under his skin, like it happened with Bob Stoops in the last 3-4 years of his tenure, the day that Lincoln Riley doesn't embrace that day-to-day recruiting grind, that's when I truly believe he'll start looking for another job.
Bob Prisbillo covers Oklahoma for Sooner Scoop. All right, here's a hypothetical that no one can really know, but your opinion here as you've covered that program. Would Oklahoma be willing to get into a reasonable bidding war with LSU? Obviously, they just extended his contract. If LSU were to come and say, hey, we're going to offer you 10 a year, do you think that's something Oklahoma would be willing to do?
That's a great question, and that's actually the one I've been thinking about the last 24, 48 hours is, we've been talking like, no, there's no way. You wouldn't pay him Saban-level numbers for not Saban-like success. But a lot of people have just sort of been pointing out, yeah, but if you love the direction your program is going in, you're willing to make that commitment. You're willing to make that sacrifice, despite the fact that everything we've gone through with COVID, the pandemic, and university is losing money like crazy. If you really feel like this is a 20, 25-year investment that's going to be worth it, you would make that plunge. And I think when you hear Joe Castiglione talk about Riley, he talks in those terms. I do think you just might be a little bit hesitant just because you really would like to see, a playoff win or maybe a national championship. But if you're so happy with what he's bringing to the table, what he's doing on and off the field in terms of developing the characters of the guys that enter the program, the way he is an ambassador to the university, the way he represents the university in all the different events that he does, if you're that satisfied, I almost because I think it was the Mel Tucker thing that kind of caught a lot of people off guard. It's like, would you make that type of leap, that type of money for someone who's not as proven as an on-field coach yet? But if you love where things are and you're even more excited about where they're going, you just might do that. And I could see OU donors doing that same type of thing where they would just embrace what Riley's brought to the program, how they resurrected what felt it wasn't a dead program. But after the 2014 season, there were a lot of questions about where this thing was going. Lincoln Riley, Baker Mayfield got that all back on track. And I think there's a lot of people that, will do anything they possibly could to try to make sure that Riley stays in London.
All right, two-part question for you here. Do you think all these reports of Lincoln Riley is affecting the current players on the team? And hypothetical after that one, since we're in hypothetical heaven right now, if Lincoln does decide to leave, do you think he tries to pull some players from this roster to his next destination?
To answer the second part, yes. I with the way the one free time exemption transfer rule is in place, I mean, there'd be a lot of harsh feelings. That would lead to any sort of bad blood, but that's the nature of the business right now. And now that there's no penalty toward doing something like that, and you actually see it a lot, right? When a head coach is hired at another place, they take the commitment. Well, now we're into a new era where we're just taking the player, and that's how that is going to work out. So yeah, I definitely think that if he were to leave, I think he would try to take some guys, and it'd be it would be a very telling as to just how well some of those guys feel about Lincoln. Like, we think he's embraced. We know he's been the ultimate player's coach since he's arrived, but inside the locker room, has he lost anybody? And that goes to the first part of your question. Has this affected the team? I don't think it has. I think what sort of happened is sort of weird because you're at OU. You're expected to be the top dog. You have the target on your back with every single game, but the weight of expectations started to really manifest itself in the last 3-4 weeks. There's been some sources have said, and we'll find out Saturday when they take on Iowa State if this is true or not, that this team is actually more relaxed now that they have a loss, now that, not everyone in the world is looking at them and criticizing them for only winning by one score against a bunch of different teams throughout this year. Now that they're counted out, now they're going to bounce back. I think that's kind of crazy to say 10 games into the season, but if it's true, we will find out Saturday that this team couldn't handle the weight of expectations of being undefeated, but now that they had their first setback, now they're going to come together and show what they can really do.
Bob, really appreciate your time. Last one here. What's been the reaction to the move to the SEC? What do the fan base think about that?
They love it.
Yeah.
Unequivocally. It's not even like there might be like 5% of the fans like, oh, we're getting rid of Bedlam or Oklahoma State, or what about the traditionally? We don't really have traditional rivalries anyway. Just outside of the usual ones. I mean, OU Nebraska this year was a nice throwback to like 50 years ago when it mattered, but to the current players, they didn't quite understand what the hoopla was all about. And then when you start thinking about the trip, I'm sure there'd be some sort of pod system, and like OU wouldn't go to Baton Rouge like once every 4 years or something. But that's a heck of a lot better than going to Lawrence, than going to Lubbock. Like, I think fans are itching for the ability to see some of these stadiums, and they really want to see is the OU stop being so complacent to do just enough to win the Big 12 and then not be able to perform at an elite level. The SEC is not going to allow you to do that. You're going to have to keep getting better. No stagnation whatsoever. And I think that's what the fan base is so pumped to see, is how good, how elite can OU be on a year-to-year basis. It might take their lumps the first couple of years, but if they can figure it out, just how good, how great in this program that's been, pretty dang good, and anyway for years and years. What's that next level that this organization can achieve?
If you want to hear more from the Sooner side of things, at Sooner Scoop on Twitter. He is Bob Prisbillo, covers the Sooners for Sooner Scoop. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Appreciate it.
He is Bob Prisbillo. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think, but apparently, it's not when he's coming on here saying, no, that's never going to happen. I think there's, I don't know. It's interesting, and we're going to continue as names kind of crop up. We'll go to those places and see what the thought is from the other side, because every side's going to see things a little bit differently, and so that's going to be very, very obvious. Still a lot to get to here on a Thursday show. About half an hour from a Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp. We'll come back. Little NFL talk. It's Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Rufino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
It's round 2 of the Prep Football Playoffs, and we get you started with Louisiana Prep Preview Friday night at 6. Catholic High and St. Augustine kick off at 7, immediately followed by a full 2 hours of the Louisiana Prep School Board Show on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Anything Bob said in that interview strike you at all?
Man, it seems like no one really has a bead on Lincoln. I think that's what the general consensus I got. It's like, yeah, is he going to NFL? He could. Could he go to another school? He could. Could he love Oklahoma? He could too. Like it's all open. Like that's what I got from that.
One thing he said made me raise an eyebrow a little bit. He said, is Oklahoma ready to commit to not just being good enough to win the Big 12, but to win championships? Mm-hmm. That's interesting because I don't personally know what kind of facilities Oklahoma has. I don't know, what their commitment is in terms of what they're paying their wide receivers coach. Like I don't know all that stuff. Sometimes things are obvious, sometimes things are not. We know that Florida State has not invested crap in their facilities. We know Clemson has built a playground over there for their football players. We know Texas A&M has dumped every bit of resources they possibly can. We know that Florida hadn't had an indoor facility until they just started building one. So I don't know exactly where Oklahoma stands, but for him to say that unsolicited when I asked if they would get into a bidding war was interesting to say, hey, maybe they're not quite where they need to be. And so that's certainly something that if they're not, Lincoln Riley could say, hey, LSU's calling me. I need you to figure some stuff out. I need this, 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 this. Look, that happened at LSU's baseball program a few years ago. Texas came calling, real or not. Maneri said, I need these 3 things. They got done. That's how this game is played. And it's why if you continue to chase the cars, like we talked about at the first segment, that you're going to drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, that's just what it's going to be. And I think you definitely saw with the Tomlin situation, everyone was just so excited for Mike Tomlin. You heard the rumors, you saw the reports, and then we saw how quick that started crashing down. So that's kind of it never ending with all these candidates. There's a new guy popping up. I guess the flavor of the town this week is Lincoln Riley, so we're pumping that. So I'm not going to get too excited about any of these names. I think obviously I know with a lot of these teams still being in the playoff potential, we're gonna hold off on some of this stuff. So I'm gonna wait until we kind of know who's in the playoff, know who's not, and we can kind of get a better playing field for who's really gonna be some real legit candidates.
This is how you play the game, Mr. Mel Tucker. Listen to his annual salaries moving from 2015 onward to potentially today. In 2015 at Alabama, he made $500,000. 2016, he went to Georgia for $850,000, so it's $350,000 raise. Then Georgia upped his pay $50,000 the next year, so to an even $900,000. The next year, he went up $150,000 to $1.5 million. Then he takes the Colorado job, gets about a $900,000 raise there to a $2.4 million contract. Immediately bails to go to Michigan State for $5.1. That is double what he was making at Colorado. And if you go from 5.1 to the 9.5 that is being reported, that is another $4.4 million raise to go on a span of 7 years from $500K to $9.5 million. That is a $9 million raise over the span of 7 years. That's how you do it.
Hey, that's not a bad gig. That's not a bad gig. And that's actually the first name I ever heard. And I didn't know much about Mel back then, but just talking to some people in Tyrell LSU, he really left a great impression when he was here a ways back, and obviously just gained a ton of respect in coaching circles just with what he's done throughout his coaching career. So I know he hasn't signed that luxurious extension that they offered him. So we'll see.
Talked about that. All right, let's shift gears a little bit to the NFL. Our Super Bowl discussion, we have it every single week. I have ridiculously trimmed my list down to a total of 5 teams. Probably a little ambitious, but I will stick with those 5 right now. The Packers, who I believe are the best team in the NFC. I believe that pretty strongly. I like the Bucs. I think the Cardinals are still worth mentioning right now for sure. And I like the Rams. In the AFC, I have trimmed things significantly, and now I've got the hoodie up there in Foxborough banging on the door, and I've got Mr. Mahomes over in first place over in Kansas City. I have neither one of them. I have the Bills and the Ravens. I'm still feel reasonable that I've got them there, but I don't have Cowboys, Patriots, who I don't think can win the Super Bowl, but they're winning games, and the Chiefs could be a bit of an issue.
Yeah. I had the Pats up there early, man. I took Bill. I'm sorry. You got to forgive me on this. And I jumped off the wagon.
You know the guy. I don't even know him. I'm just making sweeping judgments in the lunch hour in Baton Rouge.
Jumped off the wagon early. I knew you guys had something over there. We just had to get the rookie going. Now we got Matt cooking, and I took you guys off. So, hey, just calm down. Sizzle off a little bit towards the end, and I'll look like the smart guy here. But I'm loving my AFC picks right now. Chiefs. I knew Patrick. Look, I wasn't trying to down that hill, brother. So look, thank you.
They kept him around.
They kept me a little pulse here. So thank you. Chiefs, you got a little pulse. Browns, you're on alert. You're on a high.
You got to get rid of the Browns. They're not winning the Super Bowl. They're not.
Baker, look, Taylor loves Baker. Look.
I don't mind Baker. I loved it when the Kansas guy didn't shake his hand and he went nuts and then threw for 1,000,000 yards. Like, that's all good. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
One more week. One more. You guys are, one more. Juice, I love you. One more week, brother.
There you go.
Ravens, look, I like Lamar. I like Big Trust. That was a tough, Miami game, his homecoming. But I think the Ravens still, when they run the ball like that, I think they'll be fine. NFC, I like my NFC picks. Cards, you got to get Kyler back. That was a good game to mess around with. But for the stretch run, you're going to need Kyler back. I think that's going to be huge. And Rams, just integrating their new pieces. I still believe in the Rams and just, getting those new guys over there rolling. Love the Rams. Your guys, the Packers, man, they look good. They look good.
That Packers-Bills early Super Bowl pick looks good right now. I will take it.
Bucks. I still believe in the Bucks. Tough road loss. Tom started slow and had those early turnovers, but the Bucks are going to be a Bucks. They're not even at full health right now. So when they get healthy down this home stretch, I intend on them making a big run.
A brief Mac Jones question for you: of the rookie quarterbacks, some haven't played, most have. If you had to redraft them and you could take one for the next 7 years, who are you taking?
Give me Trevor. If Trevor was in New England right
I didn't expect you to say that.
Just if
no,
Trevor
I totally agree.
England,
I totally agree that that's not a level playing field. But it's
Sunshine, man. I'm going with Sunshine. I still believe in Sunshine. You saw what he did, man. Josh Allen came to town, found a way to get it done. Who would have thought that? So there's something there.
They got it done because they scored like 6 points.
Their defense. But still, he didn't screw it up.
All right, that's a good answer. It's not. It's not one that I think a lot of people would say just because you get buried in Jacksonville. Everybody kind of forgets, and you're winning games in New England. You're completing a high percentage of your throws, actually making some pretty impressive throws later in that game. I think that Lance and Fields have the ability, and so does Lawrence, that are like kind of pops. And Mac Jones, that picture of him smoking the cigar where he looks like he's about to go to play intramurals is just rough on the eyes. But I mean, he's playing pretty good. But that's a good answer.
Yeah, I know we can't play musical chairs, but my best vision of this is how great would Mac look in Jacksonville right now? You think?
Not good.
Yeah,
he would look not good.
So that's how I do that little assessment right there. But yeah, I believe in Trevor. So I know it's early on, got a ton of football left, but too much athleticism, too much arm talent. I think he'll figure it out.
Jeff Duncan said something on the morning show about the Saints this morning, and that's why I kind of tied that Mac Jones piece in the end. He said something on the morning show that I think is worth talking about. We'll do that to close out hour number 1 next.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Tell you about FanDuel every single day. Tell you about $100 in free site credits every single day. Tell you how easy the app is to use every single day, and I'm not lying. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. If you download that app and register for free, you will get $100 in free site credits that's free for you to bet. Can't cash it out. Got to bet it, but it's $100 free to bet. You can do live betting. They'll give you some odds boosts, some super boosts on the weekend. It is a fantastic product, and when that site goes live and sports betting online becomes legal here in Louisiana, that $100 site bonus is gone. There will be more offers to come, but this one is a great one to take advantage of. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app right there on your smartphone, and you can get that $100 in free site credit. Use the promo code WNXX. Show them we sent you there over there at FanDuel.com. See for yourself why FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Download the app, get $100 in free site credit. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. The bonus is issued on a non-withdrawable site credit that expires 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Louisiana. Unique user identity verification is required. The offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality.
Coming up on Fridays Off the Bench, the boys get you ready. LSU, ULM, Warhawks going down. Plus, Saints heading to the city of brotherly love on Sunday. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1, a Throwback Thursday coming right at you in 10 minutes. Jeremy, Jeff Duncan was on with the morning show guys this morning, and he said he sees a lot of similarities with where the Saints are this year and where last year the Patriots were. He said it was a year post-Brady where they used a veteran quarterback. Obviously, it was Cam in that sense. This time it was Jameis and now Trevor Siemian. And they kind of take that year, take their lumps a little bit. Still a reasonable team, but not necessarily one that's fighting for a Super Bowl. Then you reboot next year with a new quarterback, a new regime, get your salary cap settled with the anchors that you want for the next 5-year push, and then push off the dock next year. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, if you can find a quarterback you believe in.
Yeah.
I think the Patriots, Mac fell to them at 15. That's not a bad gig to have, especially if you're going to have a year where you don't make the playoffs and do the things you're accustomed to doing. The Saints seem to be in playoff contention right now. We'll see if they can hold it together. So, obviously, if you pull that feed off, then it just lowers your chances of drafting a guy in the draft. So, I think if they can find that position, I think I still believe in some of the talent on this roster. Obviously, Michael Thomas has a big piece to do with that to get a true number one receiver back. But you got your number one cornerback, and obviously Davenport has been obviously one of the better pass rushers graded by PFF. So, man, they got some depth over there. So you just got to get the quarterback to fill it out.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and my feelings kind of the same. I thought that Jameis Winston would be someone they would be comfortable with signing long-term. I don't believe that his play in the first half of this season necessarily merits that, but I do think that Sean Payton has watched enough quarterbacks, has had enough quarterbacks at his disposal where he can understand if he has the ability to work with them moving forward and create what he wants from that position or not. Got cut short, and to be quite honest, the first half, the Saints didn't put the ball in the air at all. They were the last in the league in pass attempts, so it's difficult to totally evaluate where things are, but I'm a person who generally bets on the easiest answer as opposed to trying to make the splash. And certainly, trading up 6 spots in the draft to go get a quarterback next year would be a very fun thing to talk about and an exciting thing for New Orleans. But the easiest thing to do is just to ink Jameis Winston in a place where he's probably pretty comfortable and knows he can make some cash and play under a great organization. And 15 years ago, comparing the Saints to a championship caliber organization, an organization on the other end of a dynasty, would have sounded ridiculous. But the fact of the matter is the Saints are in that class of organization now. They just are. With the way they handle the salary cap, with the coach they've got on staff, the ownership that's solid, the great fan base they've got, they're one of the best-run organizations in the sport. And so for Jeff Duncan to say that this morning, I thought had a lot of merit. Yeah,
you definitely do that. And you hear former players who don't play snap for the Saints anymore, like Janoris Jenkins, just give credit to the organization for being putting the players first and doing things the right way, and those things you can't put a price on those things. So obviously, I think for the Saints, if they do want to move forward with Jameis, how's that ACL going to recover? Do you know, will he be ready for the beginning of the season? And that's just something they got to figure out, or they got to attack free agency or try to push for a trade to trade one of their picks for a quarterback. So they got some options open. Obviously, this season's going to have a big role in that. If the wheels kind of fall off this thing, then possibly you're going to have a high draft pick. Maybe you trade down. Maybe you trade. You're going to have options. So we'll see how this thing plays out. But I think quarterback is number one for the Saints for the future.
We'll know in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
At Philly, home Rams, home Dallas. If there's somehow, some way they go 0-3, I don't see that happening, to be clear. But if they go 0-3, the head coach won't shift his focus, but I think the front office needs to change the way they think about some things. That's an opinion, and I don't think that's going to be the situation. But all of a sudden, you drop 3 games in a row against a road game in a tough environment, and then 2 good teams that come to your building, changes the focus. You're going to be a long way behind the Bucs at that point, very likely, and just kind of looks a little bit differently. So, missed anything in the first hour, you can find it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, as well as on the YouTube channel driven by Bayou Ford. Talked a little bit about coaching search, and Bob Prisbillo from Sooner Scoop talked Lincoln Riley with us. It was very enlightening. If you missed it, go back and check that on demand. Of course, we'll finish out hour number 2 and the show with some Take It or Leave It. Still got to talk about LSU and McNeese on the hardwood, but you just about know what time it is here on a Thursday. As we turn to the second hour, we will, of course, crank up a Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp, which gives you core service to the highest degree. Come back with us in hour 2 on Hunt and Hill.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back, North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers.
1, 2, 3.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing in on a weekend. LSU and McNeese will tip it off in the PMAC tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll get to that game a little bit later on in this hour. But, as you know, it is the second hour of the Thursday show. That means AccuTemp's going to let us throw it into the Wayback Machine.
Throwback Thursday, presented by AccuTemp, your AC and electrical experts.
As the roll back to the near side, and he's going to throw it. Oh, it's going to be caught! Caught! Touchdown! Holy cow!
Hunt and Hill's Throwback Thursday.
To this day, this game is the most fun I've ever had in Tiger Stadium. We did a few weeks back, it's actually early in the season, we did my favorite game in Tiger Stadium, and that was the 2003 Georgia game. That's my favorite game. This, in terms of just unbridled joy and enjoyment, this is it. So we'll get into it right here. So shout out AccuTemp for bringing you Throwback Thursday. In the final week of August in 2008, Hurricane Gustav formed off the coast of Africa and began strengthening as it approached Haiti and Jamaica. By the time it had ripped through the Western Caribbean and entered the Gulf, it had become a Category 4 hurricane with sites directly on the Gulf Coast. The 2008 Tigers were the defending national champions of college football. They entered the season ranked in the top 10 despite having some significant question marks at the quarterback spot. Highly touted freshman turned SEC championship game MVP Ryan Perilou had been kicked off the team, leaving the roster with redshirt freshman Jarrett Lee, true freshman Jordan Jefferson, and Harvard transfer Andrew Hatch. Hatch would get the start in the opener, a win over Appalachian State that was moved up to 10 a.m. on Saturday in order to complete the game and allow everyone the opportunity to get out of Gustav's path. The Tigers would handle App State with ease, and then the state of Louisiana braced for impact. On Monday, September 1st, Gustav made landfall near Morgan City, Louisiana, and ravaged the south-central part of the state. High winds flattened homes, uprooted trees, severed power lines. By the time everyone started their Tuesdays, it was clear that South Louisiana was in for a considerable rebuild. The decision was made on Wednesday, the 3rd, to postpone LSU's home game that coming weekend with Troy. It was initially scheduled for that Saturday. The team shared an open date later in the year, November the 15th, and as Baton Rouge and the area climbed from beneath the debris, football would take a back seat for a couple of weeks. When the Tigers returned to the field, they followed a drubbing of North Texas with a dramatic comeback win at Auburn, engineered on the arm of the freshman Jarrett Lee. Andrew Hatch had to leave that game with a concussion, and Lee would start the next week in a win over Mississippi State that vaulted the Tigers to top 5 status in the country. But from there, things started to unravel a little bit. A turnover-prone offense and a spotty defense headed up by co-coordinators Todd Mallory and Bradley Dale Pivoto contributed to blowout losses to Florida and Georgia. But the Tigers rallied the troops and took number 1 Alabama into overtime in Tiger Stadium before losing an absolute heartbreaker. That set the stage for one of the wildest games in Tiger Stadium history. No, not the overtime game against Alabama. The rescheduled matchup with Troy's Trojans. This is that story. If you wanted to watch Troy and LSU on November the 15th, 2008, you had to buy Tiger Vision. There was no SEC Network, no SEC Network Plus. You couldn't stream it on YouTube TV or Hulu, and you couldn't catch it on your iPad. And why would you want to watch it? LSU had already lost 3 games. They were 17-point favorites over the visitors from the Fun Belt. LSU hadn't lost a non-conference regular season game in 7 years and figured to have little trouble with Troy on a Saturday night in Death Valley. It became obvious pretty early that that wasn't going to be the case. On Troy's first drive of the game, the Trojans marched 88 yards on 16 plays and took a 7-0 lead. After the Tigers answered with a 52-yard Colt David field goal, Troy carved up the LSU defense once again, going 67 yards for a score that made it 14-3 in a stunned Tiger Stadium that had, let's just say, enough elbow room for those in attendance. Looking for a spark, Les Miles called upon Jordan Jefferson to take over the reins of the offense. But that resulted in a 3-and-out, and Jarrett Lee went back in for the next drive, and that was another 3-and-out. Troy then mounted another long drive, 15 plays this time, but LSU's defense held, and they forced a field goal that made it 17-3 early in the second quarter. LSU would take over and lose 11 yards on its next 3-and-out, and to that point, LSU's offense had 5 drives and managed a total of 35 yards. The defense would force a Troy punt, and a good one. It pinned LSU at the 6-yard line. And on third down for LSU, crisis mode was engaged after Jarrett Lee's ill-timed mistake.
The fell goes in motion. There's a snap, and Lee is back in the end zone to throw. And he does, and there it is. It's intercepted at the 25 to the 20. 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Unbelievable.
The defensive scores that had plagued LSU's offense had struck again, and it was 24-3 Troy with 6 minutes and 45 seconds to play in the first half. Thousands flocked to the exits, and they did not return to their chilly seats that night. Jordan Jefferson would take control of the LSU offense for the last 3 drives of the first half. They amounted to a total of 26 yards. But thanks to the defense forcing a fumble that set LSU up in good field position before the half, LSU was able to attempt a 41-yard field goal on the final play of the first half.
David will try a 42-yard field goal. There's the snap. Oh, and it's fumbled by Dowfrey, and he threw the ball. Oh, my goodness, what a mess. And that's the way the first half is going to come to an end, and that is just a messy way to end a messy first half.
You hear the fans booing there, and Jim, we feel your pain. As boos poured out of a nearly empty Tiger Stadium as LSU hit the locker room, trailing Troy 24-3. Troy would take the ball to start the second half, and LSU would provide absolutely zero resistance. 10 plays, 79 yards, and the route was on in Baton Rouge. Lee returned to the field to start the second half for LSU, but the struggles continued. LSU would at least pick up a first down, but another punt was to follow. The yardstick read 313-81, and somehow the scoreboard was even worse. 11 minutes and 9 seconds to play in the third. It was 31-3 Troy. It was at that point that everything changed, and I mean everything. It may have been the most dramatic shift in momentum I've ever witnessed in a football game. I'm sure 50,000 people will claim today that they witnessed it, but in reality, there were no more than 8,000 people in the stadium for the remainder of that game, and it probably got significantly less than that. LSU would send Lee back out, and the Tigers finally found some consistency in the passing game. Lee completed 6 of 8 throws as the offense marched down inside the 5. Jefferson would check in from there and find pay dirt for LSU's first touchdown of the game, 31-10, your score. Troy quickly went 3 and out, and LSU took over as the game entered the fourth quarter. Just a couple of plays into the fourth, LSU had struck again. This time, it was from a longer range.
Troy has taken the opening kickoff of the second half and threatening to add to their 24-3 score. There's a snap. Brown looks to throw and does to a wide open man at the 5, and he's into the end zone for the score, and Troy just marched it right down LSU's throat. 8-yard touchdown throw, and it is 30-3.
We've done this 10 times. That's the first time I've gotten the sync out of order. That was Troy's touchdown to make it 31-3 Trojans. As I mentioned, LSU got it rolling, scored a touchdown to make it 31-10. Forced a 3 and out. LSU took the game into the fourth quarter, and just a couple plays into the fourth, LSU struck again. This time it was from longer range.
Receivers on both sides, second down and 5. Lee play action fake, back to throw. He's got LaFell open, and he's got it. Touchdown! Right on the money. He caught the ball at the 3-yard line. Another 33-yard play. How about that?
Deep post pattern.
LSU had some life. It was 31-17, and something never before seen in Tiger Stadium began to spread. In the movie Angels in the Outfield, a young boy begins to see angels who help his favorite team. He's the only one that can see them. When they appear, he signals the team's manager by flapping his arms. Some wacky students in the student section started mimicking that sign early in the fourth quarter. It was funny, it was stupid, but it was working. Troy would take the ball. They'd be immediately forced with a 4th and 1 from the LSU 40, and trying to win the ball game, they decided to go for it.
Brown back there by himself, looks to throw. He is hit as he is thrown, and it is incomplete at the 40, and LSU gets it.
And Cotrera again is the one who made contact with Brown.
The wings started flapping. With just under 13 minutes to play, LSU had belief and the football. Lee and the offense set out to trim the lead again. They traversed 60 yards in 7 plays, and Quinn Johnson, the fullback, plunged in to make it just a 7-point game with 10.5 minutes to go. LSU had scored 21 unanswered points in about 10 minutes of game time. Troy's offense was in total disarray. Quarterback Levi Brown and company faced a 3rd and 6 2 plays into its next drive, and they made another costly mistake.
Tiger fans, the ones that are left, really into it now. Brown has it, drops to throw, being chased. He throws it, and it is intercepted. It is intercepted by Jones. 20, 15, he's down at the 14-yard line. Great pressure on Brown, and Jones intercepts it, and LSU has it 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line.
There wasn't so much passion and intensity in Tiger Stadium as there was just delirium and pure joy. LSU was absolutely rolling to that point after one of the worst starts in the history of the program. This time the Tiger offense wasn't able to punch it in from great field position afforded by Jones's pick. Instead, Colt David booted home a field goal that made it 31-27 with 7 minutes and 44 seconds to play. Now the Tiger defense was riding a wave of confidence. They forced an easy 3-and-out on 3 Troy incompletions. LSU would take over at midfield, forced a punt back to Troy with 6 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock.
Dalfrey will punt it away, and it's Calvin back deep to receive. There's a snap and a ugly-looking kick. They hit a defender, and LSU falls on it. Did it hit Troy or LSU?
It hit Troy.
Then LSU's got it at the 20-yard line. It was an ugly-looking...
Troy had completely unraveled to this point. LSU took over at the 20. They needed just 4 plays to finally climb the mountain and take their first lead of the entire ballgame.
Jefferson goes under center. Dixon in motion out of the I formation. They hand off to Scott. He plows ahead into the end zone for the score. And LSU has taken the lead for the first time in the ballgame.
LSU would botch the extra point, but the Tigers had a 33-31 lead with 4:45 to play in the game. Troy still had a chance to go down and kick a game-winning field goal. Instead, the Trojans backed up 4 yards, failed on a 4th and 14 try from their own 34-yard line, and turned the ball back over to LSU. LSU only needed 1 first down to ice the game because Troy only had 1 timeout remaining, so it was time for Chuck the Truck to finish the deal.
Receiver near side I formation. Lee under center, hands it off, and Scott plows ahead, breaks a tackle, then another, still going, 10, he's down to the 5-yard line. Holy cow, what a powerful run by Charles Scott. Finally weighed down by the strong safety Williams, 29 yards on the gallop. It is 1st and goal to go, LSU at the 4.
Quinn Johnson would plunge it in for good measure and provide the final scoring margin of 40-31. The Tigers had ripped off 37 unanswered in front of literally dozens of Chili fans remaining in Tiger Stadium. It was the largest comeback win in the history of the school, and it's today's Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp. I want to remind you this month, AccuTemp giving back by offering their friends and family discount. That means you can get savings of up to $4,000 on a new AC install. Call AccuTemp to get your new AC for as low as $80 a month. AccuTemp, they give you service to the highest degree, and they give you Throwback Thursday every single Thursday. That's the story of LSU and Troy.
Man, that was I remember that one was one for the ages, being there as a recruit and just watching that stadium empty out. I'll be honest, I probably would have emptied out too, but I didn't have a car at the time, so I had to kind of hang out at the game. So I kind of just hung out till that thing was over. And look, what was I wanting to stay for? Because that was a heck of a second half. And Chuck the Truck, man, that dude was just running through people, man. That dude was a load, and it was a pleasure to watch him run that ball.
I make this comparison, and this won't hit home for everybody, but it will for some. If you played the video game NCAA football ever growing up, there's 4 difficulty levels that you can put it on. You can put it on freshman, you can put it on varsity, you can put it on All-American, you can put it on Heisman. You put it on freshman mode, the other team doesn't really rush the passer. Your guys catch everything. Even if they have open receivers, they drop it. It's the easiest thing you've ever done. You can win 100-0 if you're any good. Put it on Heisman, things like move real fast. You got to know what you're doing a little bit to play. That game, LSU was on Heisman mode for 3 quarters. They couldn't run the ball at all. They were dropping the ball, throwing pick sixes, an absolute disaster. And it switched to freshman mode early in the 3rd quarter, and they did whatever they wanted. Picking off, they stopped the run, picking guys off. Then they had Troy muffing the punt with the gunner. It was a total disaster by Troy. after that. And there's no way you can blow a 31-3 lead into the third quarter, and Troy gave it up with ease. They gave up an extra touchdown after they lost. It was absolute whitewashing, and I was just... You can't really get that mad when you're down 31-3 to Troy. Like, that is just a situation where it's just like, this is unbelievable. And then when things started good were happening, there's no one left in Tiger Stadium. You're never in Tiger Stadium when it's like that, where it's a close game and there was no one there. There were not even close to 10,000 people there. I was one of them because I never left games early as a student and I was a junior. But it's like everyone's just laughing. We're scoring touchdowns. Did you see this? This is unbelievable. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, that was nuts, man. It was just so, you never see it that empty, man. And to see the team find a way to win that game, I thought they laid down. I thought it was over. I thought there was no way on earth that Troy, of all people, weren't going to let us back in that game. And you saw the talent, man. You saw a lot of Louisiana boys out there making plays, and you saw that talent just kind of take over. And when those guys are locked in, ready to go, you saw why they're probably favored to win that game. So just really just inexcusable, and just I really don't know how you end up being down 31-3 to Troy, but that's exactly where we were, right there in Death Valley, getting our butts kicked by Troy.
We'll see in 2017. But look, the Angels in the outfield thing, I'll remember forever. It was so stupid. And some of those people at the bottom of I was doing it. 100% I was doing it. I was in the student section and flapping my arms like a moron. Because what else are you going to do when you're coming back from 30 down against Troy? And you could hear in Jim Hawthorne's voice in the first half how totally disgusted he was with how LSU was playing. And then all of a sudden, you hear some juice in his voice as LSU's coming back. Yeah. It's just an unbelievable ball game that I'll remember for a very, very long time. Reminder, AccuTempBR.com. They give you service to the highest degree. We've got a player who was on the field that night. He'll join us next on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
During these challenging times, we know your healthcare needs don't stop. Cancer, accidents, injuries, and heart disease are relentless. So we are relentlessly innovating to keep you safe, both virtually and in person, connecting you with providers remotely, advancing clinical spaces, providing rapid and accurate testing, social distancing, and certified cleaning protocols. We are Auctioner, and we will not slow down. Auctioner Health, innovating healthcare.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Ruffino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor DUI, or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Join us for a Thursday edition of Early Line as we let the dogs out and make some underdog picks for Week 11 in the NFL and Week 12 in college football. Plus, we talk sleepers for our fantasy football thought of the day. Early Line, 2 to 3 p.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's a Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp. Looking back at the greatest comeback in the history of LSU football. A man that was on the field that night taking snaps, Jarrett Lee, joins us now. Jarrett, thanks for some time. How are you, man?
Hey, you bet, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Let's kind of go pregame before we go talk about that game. You're a Texas boy, and you come over to LSU, and in year two, as the season's gotten cranked up, a hurricane comes ripping through. Gustav postpones a game. I got to think that's one of your first times dealing with that. Do you remember anything about that?
So I remember, my junior year in Brenham, Texas, we had, I think that was the Katrina year.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it wasn't as bad over where we were. But I remember that year dealing with some stuff and having some transfers coming from Louisiana to our school. But it was nothing like moving to Baton Rouge and experiencing hurricanes. That was a whole totally different deal. But, yeah, I remember that 2008 year having to deal with that hurricane and the adversity and all that kind of stuff. But there was definitely some challenges.
Let's talk about the Auburn game that year. Andrew Hatch was the starter for that year against Appalachian State. Y'all go on the road to Auburn. He gets concussed. You come in, and y'all have a dramatic come-from-behind win. What do you remember thinking as a redshirt freshman engineering that comeback win against Auburn?
Well, yeah, as a coming into to college as a collegiate athlete, and really in any sport, is the opportunity to get a chance to play in an atmosphere like that. So, it was unfortunate what happened to Andrew, but my number was called, and just tried to come in and do the best I could. And we had some really good athletes, and it was fun to come out and make some plays and to win it at the end like that we did in an atmosphere like that. So I'll always remember that memory.
The defense a little wobbly on that team, some turnover issues, and obviously big losses to Georgia and Florida, but y'all really bowed up against Alabama and played a really tough game. They were number one in the country the week before the Troy game that we're about to talk to. After that game was over, what do you remember about the emotional psyche of the team facing a ULM game that's obviously, a Troy game that's up to ULM this weekend, a Troy game that's obviously not up to that level of emotional investment?
Well, sure. You obviously, playing a game like we did the week before, you obviously, any team at any week, I don't care if you're number one in the country or where you stand, you can get beat at any week. So, we had a tough game, lost a tough game the week before, but that's part of sports and life, is bouncing back in the next week and coming back. And yeah, to be honest with you, that Troy game, I know you're going to get into the Troy game here in a second, but we kind of got punched in the mouth early, and we had to make some adjustments. But, yeah, for sure, I think any team that, when you face an Alabama or whoever it may be that's a really solid football team and you come back the next week, you always got to be ready.
Talk about the general morale of the team when you're down by that many points against Troy. Were guys kind of bickering, or guys normally stay together during that time?
Yeah, I don't really remember any bickering or like that. But like I said, Troy had a really good, solid football team. I remember offensively, I think statistically, they could really throw the ball around and move the ball and had a really good thing going. And, yeah, they just kind of punched us in the mouth. And I remember at halftime, everybody just looking at each other like, we got to turn it on. And we did. We came back in the second half and came out with a victory. But, yeah, you always got to be prepared for any team that you face.
Do you have any real concrete thing that changed? Because it went from literally nothing could go right. It was 31-3. To y'all ripping off 37 consecutive points, and the tone of the game totally changed, and I couldn't put a finger on exactly why that was.
Yeah, I remember we had some really good senior leadership that year, and I don't. Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know what it was. I think at just halftime, the defense made some great adjustments, and we made some adjustments, and we just came out and said, "Hey, we're here at home, and if we want to, get to where we want to be and finish the season strong, we can't lose this game."
I know, but I want to ask. It's been so long now that I think, is there a sense of looking around like, this is embarrassing, guys? Like, we're LSU and this is Troy. There's got to be some of that.
For sure. And listen, as we all know, you got to respect every opponent, whether it's Troy or whoever it is. But yeah, there definitely was. I think. We had some. I remember at halftime having some of the senior guys, the Brett Helms and those guys, just look around and be like, "Hey, like I said, we got to finish the season strong, and we're LSU, and we can't lose to a team like this."
Talk about the rapport you had with JoJo LaFell. I think I know what it is. Probably that Texas boy thing y'all had going, but you guys hooked up for a bunch of catches and a bunch of yards that game.
For sure. Yeah, me and JoJo, we always, him being from Houston, and we go way back. But yeah, he obviously a tremendous player and a tremendous leader, and we did. He really kind of brought me in that year. When I got opportunity called, taking me in and really just showing me kind of what because obviously he had a lot of success early, winning the national championship the year before, and being a really good player, and he really helped me out that year, and we had some good memories and some good plays together.
Jarrett, obviously the Auburn game we talked about, this wild Troy game, that's not one that would come to the front of a lot of people's forefront, but obviously over your 4 years of playing in Baton Rouge, a lot of tremendous memories, and obviously the last year where y'all were so good for so long. How do you look back at your time in Baton Rouge?
Man, I wouldn't have, it going in, obviously there earlier in my career, there were some mistakes that I had made, and some interceptions and some plays that looking back, obviously that it made me to the player and to the person I am today. I mean, obviously, when adversity comes your way, you try to do your best to just look at the next play and the next game and the next week. And but I really was proud of myself of the way I finished and stuck it out, and had some really good teammates and some really good coaches, and wouldn't have had it any other way. So it made me a better person and a better player.
Who you want to be the next head coach of the Tigers?
Man, great question, right? Selfishly, being an offensive guy, I mean, I've heard some rumors Lincoln Riley would be great. But yeah, I don't know. Selfishly, as an offensive player, I'd love to have an offensive guy come in.
Catch everybody up in Baton Rouge with what we're up to these days.
Yeah, I'm living in Austin, Texas. I'm selling real estate here in Austin in the Hill Country, and really enjoying it. And got a lot of family here close by, so really enjoying life at the moment.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Good catching up, and all the best of luck to you, Jarrett. Thanks.
You guys, appreciate it, man. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Jarrett Lee, former Tiger quarterback, just a wild night there in Tiger Stadium, and He saw a lot in his 4 years in Baton Rouge.
Oh yeah. Got thrust in the fire early. Split time at quarterback. Had some really huge games, and I just remember that was like the height of my recruiting process right there. Him leading the helm for the Tigers. So I got to watch a ton of Jarrett playing football. So phenomenal quarterback. Gave a lot to the university, and I'm glad he's enjoying himself in the real estate world right now.
For sure. And I'm getting a lot in the Bayou Ford chat. We're going to ask about the 2011 title game. Right. I didn't prep Jarrett for that. He's a great guy. I told him we were going to come talk about the Troy game. We tossed him a couple other things. I gave him an open-ended question there. If he wanted to elaborate on it, he could have said, what do you think about your time there? He could have come on and said, hey, I wish I would have played in the last game. He wasn't going to do that. I know Jarrett. He's not going to throw anybody under the bus. He's going to give you the buttoned-up answer. And I gave him an opportunity there on the end, but I wasn't going to grill him there. There's no need to do that when we're talking about the Troy game here. So maybe another time, another day. I got Jarrett's number. We can get him on and chat about that. But today, not that day. So appreciate y'all's keeping me on top of things, and I get it. I know. I did ask Russell Shepard if there was a play in the playbook for him to pass a little bit earlier a couple of weeks ago. So put that in the check mark for me. But I didn't need that from Jarrett today. That's Throwback Thursday presented by AccuTemp. Always enjoyed LSU and McNeese on the hardwood tonight at 7 o'clock in the PMAC. We'll talk about that one next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back North Airway off of Airline Highway.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Ryan Clark joins us in studio. We'll talk Saints with Mike Triplett, our Fantasy Blitz. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Will Wade's Tigers back in action tonight against McNeese, 7 o'clock tip in the PMAC. Now, Will Wade, after games, generally, praises his guys, says, hey, good work. That's a good win for us. Love the way we fought, finished well. Then when he comes back the next day for the press conference, he usually says his team sucks and we're not doing anything right. That's generally how it works, and that was the case this week. Nice win over Liberty. You blow them out in the second half, race a bit of a deficit, and kind of run away from them. Get a nice win. Says they're going to win 25 games, going to look good on the resume. Then he gets up there yesterday and says, by the way, our starts are terrible. We're not good on defense early. Our intensity's not good. Our pregame meal's not good enough. We got to change our warm-up. We got to fix all that or we're going to get beat. That's the way that he's wired, and it's been a pattern he's shown over here, and it certainly held true, and that's what he went to yesterday. So new pregame meal for everybody today, new warm-up. We'll see if they can start the game a little quicker.
I sense a little superstition with Coach Wade over there.
No,
man.
he's just fanatical about getting it perfect, and he can't say Days isn't shooting it well enough, or we're not getting enough steals, or we're not winning, or we're not closing games. The only thing he can really point to at this point is our starts are bad, so we got to get mad about that.
Yeah, I mean, it won't hurt to start this game, but I'd much rather finish them than blowing them down the stretch. So you definitely want to be finishing a game strong, and that's a great characteristic for your team to have, especially early on in the season. But I think continuing finite guys' roles. I think that's going to be so important for this team. It's like what guys are probably going to be your top 3 scorers. That was not in the question last year. You kind of knew walking in every game who those guys would be. I know Darius is going to be a big part of that, but what kind of 2 guys consistently from a night in and night out basis are going to help you on that offensive side? And I think it's just been a great team effort on defense, just switching, playing the passing lane, putting some ball pressure on people. I'm loving what I'm seeing from the defense, especially in the second halves.
Anything you want to see from this team specifically tonight in this game? I'll talk about McNeese in a little bit, but I wanted to open the floor to you first.
Yeah, I want to see how they handle Mr. Brendan Brown, the big 7'1" center from VCU.
Brendan Medley Bacon?
Yeah. I want to see how he do down there in the paint with him. I want to see how Efton, matches up with him. I think that's going to be, what really, if they can't get him going, if they can't, settle him in the paint, I think it's going to get real ugly for the Cowboys real fast. So that's what I'll be watching early on.
I'll talk about Brendan Medley Bacon here in a second, but I'll tell you about McNeese a little bit briefly as kind of a precursor. All this is on Hoops with Hunt. A little bit more in-depth breakdown if you want that. It's on everywhere you consume your podcast. Hoops is on every single morning. This McNeese team is under a new head coach, John Aiken, who's been there for 3 years as the associate head coach. He's got a tough job. They had some very difficult hurricane conditions a couple years ago, obviously. Lake Charles still not all the way back, certainly functional and certainly able to, continue on. But the surrounding area has been tough to recruit to for a good reason. They dealt with a lot. So he's got 12 new guys on this team as opposed to last year, which is it's hard to comprehend. They are 1-2 on the year. They went up there and played the Dallas two-step. They played SMU and lost by 24, 86-62. Played TCU and lost 77-61. So blowout losses to SMU and TCU. They came home to Lake Charles and beat champion Christian 116-66. But if you look at what they've done against SMU and TCU, I don't really care much for what they've done against champion Christian. Sounds like a summer camp. But against SMU and TCU, they shot 34% from the field, 25% from three and 55% from the free throw line. They average 61.5 points per game. It's just not a very competent offensive team. Plus, TCU beat them on the glass by 23 rebounds. They do have some good things. They got 12 steals against SMU. They're very long. They've got TJ Moss, who was a starter for South Carolina for a little bit of last year. He started 5 games for Frank Martin's club, 6'4" junior. He's 8 of 20 from 3 this year, which is obviously 40%. He leads the team in assists as well. So TJ Moss, good SEC caliber player who's at McNeese. Harlan Francis, another guard, 6'5", 200, shot it pretty well. Don't really care about that. Not all that important. Not that interesting to you. However, you walk into PMAC tonight or you flip on your TV and you see Brendan Medley-Bacon, you will notice. He is 7'1", 245 from Coppin State and VCU. He started at VCU, went to Coppin State, now he's at McNeese. I told this story on the podcast. I'll tell it again here. I think I actually told it to you. I may have told it this week.
Yeah.
I did tell about, yeah. So on Tiger Zone last night. Okay, so my dad used to check me out of school to go to the Southland Conference tournament every year for one game. It was in Shreveport. We go to the Gold Dome. We'd watch it. Every team, from Nichols to UT Arlington to Stephen F. Austin to whoever it was, always had some 7-footer from Poland or Serbia or wherever, or Australia, that was terrible. Could not play a lick. So I saw Brendan Medley-Bacon's name on the McNeese roster, and it said 7'1". Obviously, this is another stiff they're bringing in. Then I looked at the video. He's not a stiff. He can play a little bit. He's averaging 13.5 a game, 5 rebounds. I saw him knock down. This is some video from Coppin State. Knock down an elbow jumper, put the ball on the floor and finished. He can obviously throw it down at 7'1", alter some shots. He is a reasonable basketball player at 7'1". Is he going to be a lottery pick? No, he's not. But he's a reasonable player at 7'1". My question is, Efton Reed, who's fresh out of high school, has probably played against a couple 7-footers, AAU circuit, maybe some camps, whatever. Probably seen some 7, but probably not a lot. And he's usually, for his entire life, been the tallest guy on the floor. That changes tonight. So the question is, how does Efton Reed handle that on both ends? Can he defend a big, long frame like that? Is he able to get his shot with both hands around the rim like he has the first 2 games against 6'8", 6'9" guys? It's a fun question, and I'll be curious to see what the answer to that is.
Yeah, that's what intrigued me the most. So I'm always looking at matchups and where a team may have a matchup on us, and to me, that's really where all I can point to. I'm not worried about Francois or Moss. I think Gaines, Murray, and the crew they'll be okay with that. But I think if you can get Bacon in the paint, forcing some foul trouble, keep us in the bonus, things could get shaky, especially when they start forcing the turnovers that they can create in the Stills apartment. So I'm going to be tuned in early on to see if we can start fast. I know we're going to be changing up some meals here, changing up some warm-ups, exactly. And hopefully we can get going early.
One more little point for me tonight, and this has been a little bit contradictory to what I've said for the last 3 weeks, and I'm aware of that. I'll qualify it all. I have said that I'm concerned with Pinson shooting too much. He's not a very good three-point shooter. And he hasn't been the last 3 games. And I don't want him taking step-back threes, forcing shots early in the shot clock. I want him running the show, and he has. However, he's going to be out there, and his ability to run the show, to penetrate, to create for other people is going to be a little bit dependent on him to be able to knock down some shots. So maybe they can draw up some things and get him open tonight to see a couple go in, which I think would be good for him. I don't want him to be the focal point of the offense. That's not what I'm saying. I want to see him make a couple of threes in the game to get some confidence going. He's a senior. He's been around. I don't think he's lacking for confidence or thinks, I can't really play at this level. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. I just think it would be beneficial to him in some of these early season games to see a couple go down, maybe make 3 or 4 threes. So, no, any game where he shoots 11 threes, I'm uncomfortable. But tonight, in a game that you're going to win, I think that I'd like to see Pinson knock a couple shots down. That's kind of my thought. Because if he keeps missing them, the good teams are just going to back up and just say, all right, well, what? You're not driving on me.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about the shot selection for me, especially with Pinson. If he takes 5 or 6, I'm not upset with that. It's just what kind of 5 or 6 is he getting off? I don't want to see step back behind the bags, double between the legs, doing all that ISOing. I mean, if you got a matchup and you're hot, that's one thing. But when we're down or we're trying to get some rhythm here, let's run some offense. Let's get some guys some good looks. And if he's taking good looks and the defense is broke down and you're stepping into one, I have no issues with that. So I think you're going to need that. I think you're going to start to see, teams really put, double team Days. They're not going to let Days beat them. And you're going to need, like I said, 2 other guys to really step up and know you're going to get consistent scoring from.
So last order of business, which I was not able to get to on the podcast, because I recorded it in the studio after Tiger Zone last night at 10:30. there was no lineup. There is now a gambling lineup. I'm going to try to see what I can do, placing a fake wager on every single LSU game. We'll see if I can break 500. I'm 2-1 right now. LSU has covered all three numbers. I took Liberty on Monday. Liberty did not get home on the 10-point line. So 2-1 on the year. The line tonight between LSU and McNeese is 28 points. I don't think McNeese is going to score 60 in this game, and I think LSU scoring 90 is pretty likely. So I'm going to take LSU and lay the points. That is a lot of points to lay in a 40-minute basketball game, 28, but I'll kick myself if I don't do it. So I'm going to lay the points there. What do you think about that? 28's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's going to be – I don't know if they can score enough. I think you're right there. I think the defense, especially in the second half, they've been playing too lights out. It's been too hard for teams to get in that pain, especially with Efton under that goal. But, yeah, I'll have to take the 28 too. I don't think McNeese can score enough.
There we go. You'll be on charge. I can't go tonight. Been out of the house every single night this week, so we got to watch it at home and grill some dinner up on the grill outside tonight. So we will not be at the PMAC, but I will be watching and we'll be talking about it tomorrow right here on Hunt and Hill. Let's come back to some Take It or Leave It. Close out a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sports betting's coming to Louisiana, and it's not like it's been your entire life. You don't have to go to the window at a casino to place your bet. You can bet at home from your app once that goes live. And FanDuel is the place to do it. You get $100 in free site credit when you register early. That's right. Register, verify now. You'll receive a free $100 bonus when the sportsbook goes live. We've told you about the boosts. They give you some odds boost during the week, super boosts on the weekend. Hit those parlays, multiply that money, and when you win, you can get paid in in just about 2 hours over on the FanDuel Sportsbook. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Register with the promo code WNXX. Those are our call letters here, WNXX, and that'll get you that free site credit on the FanDuel Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older, present in Louisiana. The bonus is issued on a non-withdrawable site credit that expires 7 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Louisiana. Unique user identity verification is required. The offer ends on the go-live date. Restrictions do apply. See the terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Tonight, we invite you to celebrate life, wherever and whenever you can, understanding that time is never on our side. Instead, gather up your friends tonight and share a few stories and laughs over a good bottle of wine. Or maybe a family meal that gives everyone a chance to reconnect and remember what's really important, whether it's for a birthday, an anniversary, or simply to remind someone special that they are loved. Ruffino's, where Louisiana comes to celebrate life.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights.
Join me, Jimmy Ott, for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're watching football at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, downtown, facing the brand new library. Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up shop on a Thursday. Excited about our Friday show. Tomorrow we'll be recapping LSU and McNeese. Talking about Tigers ULM. We'll chat with Luke Johnson from NOLA News and the New Orleans Advocate about the Saints and the Eagles. Missed anything today on demand? Throwback Thursday presented by Accutemp kicked off hour number 2. We had Jarrett Lee with us as we were talking LSU and Troy from 2008. Bob Prisbillo from Sooner Scoop was with us in the first hour talking about the Lincoln Riley buzz and all that goes into that. If you missed it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, as well as on YouTube. All right, let's do some take it or leave it. Hal Steinbrenner says the Yankees will not be afraid to spend in the free agent market. Carlos Correa, probably the biggest fish in that sea. Taking or leaving Carlos Correa as a future Yankee.
I'll take that all day. Of course.
He's coming to Chicago,
course.
so probably not.
Hal said it best. Look, we don't care about the allegations and the stuff that happened for you. So, look, Carlos, just come on over. Come to the Evil Empire. We got a nice little spot for you. And, look, we got some great things planned for next year. So, look, come over. You got Garrett already. You got your old running mate. Just come over to the Yankees, man. It's not a bad spot. It's not a bad gig.
Bad spot. Bad gig. Chicago, Windy City, Wrigley, championship organization. That's what you want.
Hey, you guys are more recent than us.
That's exactly right.
I can't be too bad at that. All right. Dave Scretta of APnews.com says that Dan Mullen, he's on the hot seat heading to the Mizzou game this Saturday. Are you taking or leaving Mr. Darth Vader? He's out as the head coach if they lose to the Tigers?
I'll take that. They go out there and lose, and he loses this team the way it appears that things are happening. I'll take that. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't throw it down as a slam dunk, but I don't feel like it's out of bounds. I mean, things have unraveled there, and there's a very plausible scenario that he's lost that team, lost his recruiting class, and they can't recover. And if you want to sit here and try to hire a defensive coordinator for what amounts to a lame duck coach, that's not going to be a great spot. I realize that it's hard to imagine a year after winning the East that you would be in this situation, but we saw how quick it went downhill in Baton Rouge. It can get worse in Gainesville, I promise you. Yep. Alvin Kamara returned to Saints practice yesterday, taking or leaving AK, coming back, and the Saints getting a win on Sunday.
I'll take it. I'll take it, I guess, just because I think Sharif, he said it best, and they have to win this game, man. It just gets too rough going down the stretch, and I think getting Alvin will be a breath of fresh air, especially for Trevor, a guy he can check the ball down to. Probably going to be your best receiving option out of the backfield, so you're definitely going to need Alvin back, and you do that, I think the Saints could be cooking up for a win, so I'll take that one. All right. Corbin Forbes wins the NL Cy Young, just edging out Zach Wheeler and Max Scherzer. Are you taking or leaving Corbin Forbes as the NL Cy Young winner?
Corbin Burns.
Oh, Corbin Burns, my bad.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it. He didn't throw enough innings. They've gone too far on the analytics on this deal, and he had some really good fielding independent pitching numbers and all this kind of stuff that you can cook up in the lab, but he was 40 innings short of Wheeler, whose numbers were fractionally worse in terms of ERA. Corbin Burns is awesome, and he's great, but Wheeler should have won the Cy Young, in my estimation. Yes, I'm biased against Brewers. Don't care. He didn't throw enough innings. He was really good. They took him out in the 5th inning all the time because they wanted to go to the bullpen because that's how Craig Counsell wants to handle things. So that's kind of where we are there.
All right, Scott Rabelais, he updated his odds for LSU's next head coach with Lincoln Riley. He had the best odds with 3-1 odds. Are you taking or leaving Lincoln as the best odds to be LSU's next coach?
As the best odds, sure. I mean, I don't know of anybody else that I would put with better odds. I don't think that he's, the agreement's there in public. But I mean, I have a hard time telling you that Mel Tucker's more likely. I have a hard time telling you that Billy Napier or Dave Aranda is more likely than Lincoln Riley. I think it's fine to have the odds there. You're plugged into this deal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's where it's headed. I think we kind of, we know where Jimbo's at with this whole thing. It's not looking likely for Jimbo. That was probably people's, first guess that they would go to. And obviously we see what Michigan State's got cooking for Mel right now. So that's not looking too hot either. So I think you're going to start seeing those Lincoln rumors until he, just goes over the top with an answer. But, yeah, I see Lincoln being that guy right now.
Patriots headed to Atlanta tonight. Who you got?
Got the Pats, man. Come on, man. I took them off my Super Bowl. They're going to make me pay for that. So, yeah, I got the Pats all day.
6.5-point road favorites are the Pats. Your guys with the early line. Coming up next, we'll tell you all about that. Matt will drive you home from 3 to 6 on AFR. Jimmy Ott's Game Time will be with you from 6 to 8. That's all we can do here on a Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow talking plenty of LSU McNeese, LSU ULM, some Saints Eagles talk, as well as whatever's going on in the coaching search. Join us on Friday. Enjoy your Thursday evening. This is Hunt and Hill.